Hi, hello, welcome back to DevOps course series. This is Satyadev, and in the previous presentations, we talked about SDLC, and as part of SDLC, which is nothing but software development lifecycle, we have discussed about waterfall model and its benefits in its problem areas. Then we have seen agile model, how it is going to remove the waterfall model issues and its benefits and strengths. Also, we have seen the shortcomings of waterfall model. Now, in this presentation, I'm planning to introduce DevOps, and as we discussed that, like, DevOps is going to strengthen the areas where Agile is bit weak. So that's what we are going to discuss in this presentation. So let's go to the next slide. Now, this is what we have seen in the last presentation towards the end. Basically, Agile is nothing but a waterfall model in short intervals, and the same steps that are followed in waterfall model are also being followed in Agile, which are nothing but requirement analysis, design, development, testing, deployment, maintenance in short cycles. Now, we have seen that for getting things done quickly, Agile has got principles and values through which we can get things done pretty quick and in a very friendly manner. Whereas we also talked about, like I said earlier, the areas where DevOps, where the Agile hasn't given any inputs or principles, so that there are certain things still there are certain late areas where they need some help. Now, that is where DevOps is going to come into picture. Now, as I have drawn the gray area around development, testing, and deployment maintenance, so those are the areas where the certain things that are not completely supported by Agile, where DevOps can do better. Now, let's discuss further about what are those areas, what are the exact problems in the development, testing, deployment, maintenance in this next slide. Now, these are the shortcomings which we have seen in the previous presentation, but I'm going to explain them in more like stepwise, in the Agile stepwise. Now, if you take development phase, where the Agile model doesn't talk much about how developers are going to synergically work together and get the code pushed into a place, or work how they will integrate the code and get the code from somebody else. Those kind of things. Agile doesn't give any principle or values. Similarly, in the testing, there is no big focus on continuous integration as well as automation. So this is one area where Agile is not giving any direction. So another area of shortcomings where Agile has are like deployment. In deployment, there is not much focus on operations. Now, I'll talk about operations a little later, but operations are basically just to understand quickly. Operations nothing but once software is ready, it has to be deployed in a place for testing as well as for production, right? So those are the nothing but operation areas. Now, in the deployment, there is not much focus on operation team, even though operations actually plays a very good role. Similarly, Agile assumes that deployment normally happens manually, which is not these days because of this cloud and other recent technology advances. Things are being deployed by a different team than that of the manual developer or tester team. So earlier it used to be done by testing team, but now it's not just testing team anymore. It is the operation team. Another area is inconsistent environment, which we talked about. Like developer says it works on a machine, why it is not working on the testing machine or a production machine. So again, Agile doesn't have any inputs on how to deal with the problem of inconsistent environments. Another area is about limited emphasis on continuous feedback from production, and another is like security as an afterthought. So these two come under maintenance. The maintenance, as I discussed in the previous presentations, maintenance happens once the software is put onto the production, and it is running. While it is running, there are certain bugs or certain issues uncovered. As part of that process, there is not much guidelines by Agile on how to get the feedback from production directly. Before DevOps, what used to happen is like somebody, if there is a problem reported by some customer or client or some tester, somebody has to manually go and get the logs or look into the production server, then get the details and then decipher those details, finally figure out the problem. It used to take a lot of time. There is no direct feedback from the production system onto the developer machine directly. There is no automated way. So this is one area where again Agile doesn't have any inputs. Again, security. Again, when it is put into the production, until development and testing, security doesn't play because that software is done in a very closed environment. But once it is onto the production environment, it has to be secure, right? So customers cannot use software which is not secure. Again, how to secure, who actually needs to take care of security? Agile doesn't give any focus, so it's kind of fuzzy if there is no DevOps. So DevOps is going to come into that place. Another is addressing siloed dev and ops issues. Like I said earlier, software development and testing is done by the development team, whereas once the deployment, earlier it used to be done by testing team, later the IT team is going to take care of it. Again, there is no big liaison between IT team and dev team. So I mean, again, Agile doesn't have any big input. The reason is Agile focuses on development mostly, coding, development, and getting things done faster. Doesn't focus on these areas which I have highlighted in yellow color. Another core value that Agile misses is like no emphasis on team scalability. Like I said earlier in my earlier presentation, if there are multiple teams working together, and how to have a common communication across among those teams, how to have a common communication across those teams is not something that again Agile doesn't address. So these are the areas where Agile fell short, and DevOps is going to provide better insight or better is going to have a better input there. So now, till now, I talked about DevOps and how it is going to help Agile teams. But what is DevOps? I haven't talked about. So I'm going to talk about what is DevOps, what is actually how it works. Is it a software or is it like a process? Is it like human being? What is it? I haven't talked about it, right? So I'm going to talk about in the coming presentation. Basically, just to understand, DevOps is nothing but development plus operations. So it's a combination of two things, like development and operation. And it is, as a short form, it took DevOps, right? So what is development? What is operations? Are we talking about development team or development processes, or are we talking about operation team or operation team processes? What is exactly DevOps, which I'm going to discuss in this slide. So as I told you, like I'm going to go much more deeper into DevOps in the next presentation. But in this presentation, I'm just going to give the definition of DevOps. So what is DevOps? Before going to the definition of DevOps, this DevOps thing, movement or whatever it is actually started by a developer from Belgium called Patrick Debois in 2009. So he is just a developer, software developer and consultant. And as a developer, he has seen that he used to work in Agile teams. Even though it is Agile, he used to observe the issues between like operation team and development team. Because like I said, in this era of cloud environment, pushing things to the cloud, operation team help, IT team help is really, really required. So in that context, Patrick had a problem, faced a lot of issues, and he decided to have something called, a collaboration between dev and ops, which he actually coined as DevOps. And he started a movement back in 2009 for the DevOps to be included in software development lifecycle, especially in the agile environments. Now, if you see the definition of DevOps, DevOps is nothing but a set of principles, practices, and tools that aim to integrate software development, dev, and IT operations, ops, to improve collaboration, increase deployment frequency, and deliver high quality software faster and more reliably. In other words, DevOps is for reducing time between committing a change to a system by dev team and bringing it to the production by IT team while ensuring high quality. I think this really makes sense when it comes to the areas where Agile hasn't focused much or Agile has got shortcomings. Because as we discussed in the previous slides, Agile is bit weak in the communication. Once the software is developed, how it is going to be put into the production, that's where Agile doesn't have any real strong light on. Whereas DevOps strongly focuses in that area where it actually aims at getting things done by developer really fast and getting on and in a collaborative way and getting onto the production also in a really fast way by operation team by improving the collaboration between dev and ops. So that's about DevOps as a definition. Now, who is dev? Who is ops? What are their activities? I think most of the software people who know about software, they know about it, but I'm going to define more clearly and more vividly so that we will have more practical understanding of how DevOps team works together. Thank you. We'll see in the next presentation.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe VNR Digital Learning Resource YouTube channel.